Hi there, this is Bob Yoho again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk once more about the top 50 greatest Western films of all time. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about talking about these. These are some great films, some personal favorites of mine that I really enjoy watching. Several of them are ones that if they come on, I'm going to have a hard time getting up and going anywhere till they're done. They're just that good. And that's why I want to get into this now. So let's talk about number 21. And I just watched this film the other night. A film from 1968 called Five Card Stud. This film was directed by Henry Hathaway. And 1 year later than this, Henry Hathaway will direct True Grit. And both of this, Five Card Stud and True Grit, both had the same screenwriter. They both had the same screenwriter on this one and on True Grit. I really believe Five Card Stud is an excellent movie. And in my opinion, it might be the best role that Dean Martin ever played in. He also did a film called Rough Night in Jericho or something like that, where he was pretty good in it. But this may be one of the best performances in a Western, or maybe even the best performance ever by Dean Martin. I thought Dean Martin was superb in this film. This film starts out, Dean Martin and Roddy McDowall, but Yaphet Kotto's in this, and he plays a man named Little George. And this film starts out, you actually see the film from above, looking down on the table as the players are around it. I believe there's 7 players in it, and they're playing a card game. At some point, Dean Martin gets up and goes and takes a break, and they finish it, but they discover that one of the men was cheating. Throwing him out of town just isn't good enough. They're gonna hang him, and so they take off to drag this man out of town, and they're gonna hang him. Dean Martin tries to get there and stop it, and is unsuccessful. That's where the film starts, and this is a tremendous film. The interplay between Dean Martin and Robert Mitchum is superb in this film, and I really enjoy it. I sat there and watched it last night again, and it's just a great film. Well worth your time. You ought to take a look at this one. I don't want to tell you too much more about it. It's an excellent film. The suspense all the way through. Many of you may figure out what happened before the ending, but it's just a great film, and Dean Martin is just excellent in this. He plays kind of a rough gambler who makes his living at it. He sings the opening score in the song. Of course, Dean Martin, I've always been amazed by Dean Martin's singing, because he makes it sound so easy, and you honestly, you listen to Dean Martin sing and you swear you could do it too, but I can't, and nobody wants to hear that. But Dean Martin, you talk about a guy just sings easy, and he does. And this is just a great role with Dean Martin, and I really enjoyed him in this film, and Robert Mitchum was excellent in it. Roddy McDowall's also in this, and he's not a real good guy in this film. But anyway, you think you ought to check it out. It's well worth your time. Five Card Stud, 1968. That's film 21. Number 22 is a film from 1967 called The Hour of the Gun. This film was directed by John Sturges. The Hour of the Gun is another Tombstone story. There have been so many films made about the Tombstone story, and this is another one. James Garner in this one plays Wyatt Earp. All the people that play Wyatt Earp, I believe James Garner is one of the best. I mean, he plays the rage part as good as anybody ever in film. He reminds me a little bit of Jimmy Stewart in the fact he can just seem like the nicest guy in the world, but when he's angry and vengeful, nobody plays that better than James Garner. I just love James Garner about everything he was in. He was great in comedy. He was great in drama. He was excellent in everything he did, and he was superb in this movie. And this one was different than some of the earlier Tombstone type films that portrayed the whole Tombstone story. In this one, tried to be a little bit more accurate than some of the ones previously. Gunfight at the OK Corral or My Darling Clementine. This one actually, I think, tried to portray it a lot more accurately than some has in the past. They didn't get it all right. There's plenty of things wrong with it, but Hour of the Gun is just a great role by James Garner again, and Doc Holliday is played by Jason Robards. I've already said it on here. I love Jason Robards as an actor. I didn't like him as a child, and I don't know why. Maybe I was probably stupid back then, and hopefully I've gotten over most of that today. But I didn't care for Jason Robards. Something about him I didn't care for. And I tell you what, the older I get, the more I appreciate Jason Robards as an actor. His portrayal of Doc Holliday is just super. Now, he's much too old to actually be playing Doc Holliday in a truthful role, but Jason Robards is excellent here, and his interplay with James Garner as Wyatt Earp is just excellent. This film also has Robert Ryan as Ike Clanton. Robert Ryan is in so many of the films that I mentioned in the top 50 greatest Western films of all time. He's one of them that occurs quite often, and the man just a super actor. I believe every part I've ever seen the man play in, he was believable, and that just there ain't many people that can do that. And it's he's just a great actor, just finding character roles and starring roles. He's just excellent. But The Hour Gun from 1967, that's number 22. For a number 23 film, it's a film from 2003, fairly recent. Fairly recent, over 20 years ago, but it's one of the more recent films in my top 50, and that film is Open Range. Open Range was directed and co-produced by Kevin Costner. Open Range, I love the film. I actually read the book, and frankly, the book is based upon, and I believe it's written by a man named Lauren Payne. And to tell you the truth, I think it's one of the rare films that I think is much better than the book. They do a marvelous job with this film, and I could watch this thing if it came on 20 days in a row. I would probably sit there and watch it 20 days in a row and forget everything else I had to do. That is how much I like this film. Kevin Costner plays a man in this kind of mysterious figure called Charlie Waite, and Robert Duvall plays Boss Spearman. Them and two younger guys who are great in these roles, by the way. Boss Spearman and Charlie Waite, they're driving cattle across the range, taking them in the market, I assume. And then on the way, they stop and send somebody into town to get some supplies, and he's attacked. The owner of the town pretty well owns old territory right around there called Denton Baxter. And he's a rough man, and he doesn't like anybody coming through there and what he calls free grazers, driving their cattle on open range, and he doesn't care for it. While he's in town getting supplies, he's attacked, beaten, and jailed. And it aggravates Boss Spearman and Charlie Waite, and they want some payback for it. When they go get him, they talk to Denton Baxter, the guy that runs the town, and his corrupt sheriff. Along the way, they're basically told to get out of town and pretty well threatened, and that's where it starts from there. But this film is just superb. Annette Bening plays a woman in town named Sue Barlow, who is the sister of the doctor in town. And I'll tell you what, I don't think Annette Bening's ever been in anything that was better than this. She is super. And along the way, Kevin Costner, and I won't tell you much more about it, but Kevin Costner becomes attracted to Sue Barlow. And this is just a great film, a super film. Michael Jeter is in this, playing a stable owner named Percy. And Michael Jeter, this is probably one of his final roles. It might be his final role of all time, and he's very good in this. Just plays a great part. I could sit there and watch this film forever. There's a scene in this where a six-gun shoots many more times than a six-gun ever shot in the Old West. And I believe it was done on purpose, and I kind of liked the way it was done. And I enjoyed it from the standpoint, not real realistic, but I believe it was meant to be just kind of a tribute to the old Western B movies. and I just, there's so much about this film. It's suspenseful. It's a love story. It's about liberty. It's about freedom. It's about people's rights as citizens and just as human beings. And it's just a great film. I tell you what, Robert Duvall, the man's a national treasure. Robert Duvall's been in so many great films, and like I mentioned about Robert Ryan, Robert Duvall's in so many of these films that are mentioned from this period of time, these top 50 greatest films. Duvall's in many of them. Whatever role he's in, he just brings something special to it. And Kevin Costner, this may have been one of his best portrayals of all time. I think it might have been quite possibly one of his best acting performances of all time. And I really enjoyed this film, Open Range from 2003. That's number 23 on my list. And you ought to check it out. If you haven't seen it, you need to. And you'll thank me for it. Coming in at number 24 is a film from 1976, the bicentennial of our nation. And strangely enough, this year coming up, 2026, we're going to be celebrating 250th anniversary of our country. But this film was made in 1976. I was in high school, and it's The Outlaw Josey Wales. This film was directed by Clint Eastwood. Probably one of his early times he directed a film. It might be one of his first, but Clint Eastwood, of course, plays Josey Wales in this film. He's along the way. This film starts out with Clint Eastwood's family is killed by a bunch of northern raiders called Redlegs, and they're attacked, and he's burying his wife and kid, and along comes a man named William Anderson, also known as Bloody Bill Anderson, and he invites Josey Wales' character to ride along with him, and they become raiders during the Civil War. The film pretty much starts out with there and shows them sort of scenes moving through the entire Civil War. And then there at the end, a man named Fletcher, who heads up these, I guess they're the guerrilla fighters for the South. It'd be a polite way to term it. But he's trying to get them to surrender. And Fletcher's played by John Vernon. And I'll tell you what, John Vernon just commands the screen whenever he's there. John Vernon has one of the greatest voices of anybody I ever heard in Westerns. I mean, there's just some people that just have tremendous voices, and they belong in Westerns. And John Vernon's one of those. He just something about his voice commands your respect. But he's trying to get Josey Wales and the other members of these guerrilla fighters to surrender. Well, he plans to and then get them not only surrender but swear their allegiance to the Union. And Clint Eastwood and a man named Sam Bottoms, who plays Jamie, they're going to do it, but Clint Eastwood just can't bring himself to swear allegiance to the Union. And then him and Jamie discover that he fought alongside, they're being double crossed, and they planned as soon as they turn their guns over, they're going to kill him. Well, Clint Eastwood attacks, and him and Sam Bottoms get out of there together, and Fletcher decides they're going to hunt him. They'll call him a wanted man, and they're going to hunt him. Josey Wales is heading for Mexico, try to get out of Texas. That's how the film starts. Along the way, he meets an Indian who's played by Chief Dan George. Now, the great thing about The Outlaw Josey Wales, and it reminds me a little bit of the film Tombstone, in the fact that so many people can quote lines from Tombstone. There's just one right after another. And the film The Outlaw Josey Wales is a lot like that. And there's just so many lines that as you watch it, you'll quote right along with it if you've seen it more than once. And there's so many in this film that are just memorable. I know this, before my dad passed away, this was a film that always made my dad laugh, and I enjoyed it as well. It's another one of those films. If I walk in the house and I've got work to do and that thing was on TV, I'm probably going to park my butt in that chair and I'm not going anywhere till it's over. The Outlaw Josie Wales is one of those films, and of course there's a moment in it, and so many people quote this, but you boys gonna pull them pistols or whistle Dixie? It's one of the memorable scenes in the film, and there's just so much about this film that's worth seeing. It's worth your time. If you've never seen it, you've really missed out on a treasure, and so I hope you'll check it out. Coming in at number 25 is a film from 1995 called, and it's a modern day Western called Last of the Dogmen. Tom Berenger stars in this as Lewis Gates, and this is a superb film. Lewis Gates is a tracker and a bounty hunter out in the Montana mountain region. The film starts out with a bunch of convicts escape from a prison transport, and they flee up into the mountains in Montana, which is which they call the Oxbow. Lewis Gates, played by Tom Berenger, is hired by the sheriff, Kurtwood Smith, and there's some history between these two that becomes apparent right off the bat. It's clear they don't really like each other, and you can see that. The great thing about this film, and by the way, you can go watch this whole film on YouTube. But I've noticed something about this film, and I'm just going to say it right up front. There's like two versions of this film, and I've seen both of them. One of them has narration by Wilford Brimley, and one of them doesn't. And I've seen them both. And if you can get the one that has a narration by Wilford Brimley, it's the best one of the two, because Wilford Brimley's narration is just super. It could be that the networks that I've seen it on have cut that out, but Wilford Brimley just brings so much to this as a narrator, and this is just a super film. Anyway, Lewis Gates' character is tracking these people up into the Oxbow, up in this rough mountain region of Montana, and along the way, he finds the people he's tracking butchered and killed, and he finds an arrow there, and it looks authentic to him, so he takes it to an anthropologist played by Barbara Hershey, who playing a character, Lillian Sloan, and basically just sort of ask is this real? Because he thinks there's something more going on up there than what he sees, because people have gone up there and they've completely disappeared, they've never been found. He really thinks this arrow, this Cheyenne arrow, is real, and he thinks that maybe it belonged to the Cheyenne dog soldiers. But anyway, that's how the movie starts, and I probably told you too much already, but I'll tell you one thing. Last of the Dogmen is probably one of my favorite films. I absolutely love this film. Tom Berenger is great in this. He has a dog named Zip, and Zip might be one of the greatest characters in this film. And I'll just leave you with that. But the dog, don't miss the dog in this film. He's he's super. And he's a star in this film as much as Tom Berenger and Barbara Hershey are. But I'm telling you, this is a great film. It's a modern day film. It has an air of credibility to you where you think, this could really be real. And it's just a super film. There's mystery, suspense. It's a love story too, and there's just so much here that anybody in your family should like. It's a pretty clean film too, I believe, and the whole family could watch it and enjoy it together. And I just think it's something you should check out. Last of the Dogmen is just a tremendous film. It may have been in my opinion, maybe one of the best roles Tom Berenger ever played. But Berenger's just a great actor. Everything I've seen him in has been excellent. And from comedy to serious drama, Tom Berenger is just one of the really good ones. And I enjoy this film greatly, and you should check it out, because anytime anybody gets to talk to me about a couple of my favorite films, and these two hardly ever get mentioned, Last of the Dogmen, and also what I've talked about earlier was my film Diablo that I absolutely love. And this is just an excellent film. This is well worth your time, well worth seeing. But anyway, we'll go over it. This week's top 50 greatest westerns of all time are number 21, Five Card Stud from 1968, The Hour of the Gun from 1967, number 23, Open Range from 2003, number 24, The Outlaw Josie Wales, 1976, and 25, Last of the Dogmen, 1995. I urge you to check out these westerns. You'll love them. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. These are great films, well worth your time. These 5 films right here are just super, and you ought to check them out. Anyway, that's it for today. In case I don't get back to you before next weekend, I want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope the new year is, I hope you have a Happy New Year, and I hope 2026 becomes a year of happiness, health, peace, and prosperity for you, for all of us. God bless us all. Merry Christmas. Bye now.